Okay, hi all, welcome back to my kitchen. I'm still in the process of making the jam, and I'm talking about the peach jam. But I thought I would let you guys know all of the peach slices are now canned, and they're sitting underneath the quilt over here. And you might be wondering, is that necessary? The short answer is yes. The long answer with a little bit of explanation is you want to keep the jars of whatever you're canning, whether it be jams, jellies, vegetables, peach slices, covered so that they can cool down naturally. You don't want to expose the glasses once they come out of the canner to air that's circulating in your house. And it's very important for the first 24 hours to let the jars gradually reduce their heat. That's actually what is going to seal your jar in the long run. Now, after 24 hours, when you go to check to make sure everything's sealed properly, then you can go ahead and remove your quilt or blanket or whatever you put on your jars. You just want to make sure that your jars are covered and that they stay warm, especially here in Illinois. It's still hot. It's still in the 80 degrees category, and I have the air conditioning on. And my vent is right in front of this glass door that I'm kind of pointing to right here. So you don't want that cold air getting to the jars, because then what happens is your jars can actually shatter. So having your jars insulated will keep them nice and warm, and will let them naturally or very slowly come up to a room temperature, which is what you want to do. Now, we'll check those tomorrow at about 3 o'clock and make sure that they've all sealed. We're going to leave them alone tonight and not move them. They're fine where they're at. I'm going to add the peach jam, and when I get to the blueberry, we'll all go under there. They'll just be different times of when I'll be checking each one. So I hope that helped if you're new to canning. If you have any questions about canning, leave them down below. I will gladly post. I'm going to do a couple of shout outs because a lot of my friends and some of the people that I'm not getting to know on my YouTube channel have said really nice things to me. So I'm going to shout out to one of my good friends who I know personally, and that's Lenora. My friend Wolf, who has been a bartender of mine for a while now. He has become a really good friend. Shout out to him. I'm making more peach for you so that you get some more bottles. And then my New England friend that watches my channel, who has been watching for a while now, by the name of Don, who is in New England. I don't know what part of the New England area he's in, but he lives in the northeastern half of the United States. So a shout out to him. Thank you guys so much for watching. To all my newcomers, again, thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys continue to enjoy the contact. No, that's not right. Take two, because that's not going to roll off my tongue today, because I'm just doing too much stuff. There is one thing that I forgot to mention, and this regards the half-pint jars. I did sterilize those yesterday, but I did not sterilize the lids. So what you can do if you don't sterilize the lid is pop them in a pot of boiling water, and I have them boiling over here. You just want to boil them for about a minute, and after a minute what you're going to do is you're going to actually just turn off the heat and leave them alone until you're ready to jar them. You're going to want to make sure that they're dry before you put them on your jars. But that actually does sterilize your lids in a nutshell if you weren't able to run them through the dishwasher. Now, can you do the same thing with the jars? Yes, but the jars need to go a lot longer. They need to be sterilized at least for 1 hour in a boiling bath. And you need to do that if you don't have a dishwasher. you can definitely do them in your canning container. You can also use almost any. You can use any big pot that will support the jars. You just want to make sure that the jars are full of hot water surrounds them, and that they come past where the lip of the jar is. And that will actually sterilize the jars. So I'm going to stop the video. I want to thank you guys for watching the peach slice, the canned peach slice series. I'm going to go make my peach jam. I'll be back when I get ready to do the blueberry jam. Okay, welcome back to my kitchen. I'm doing something different with the peach jam, and I'm only going to share this part of the video. Everything else is the same that you saw yesterday with it. But instead of, since I've already been on my feet for 4 hours and my back is starting to kill me, instead of taking the time to slice and chop up the peaches fine, I'm going to run them through the food processor. Now, the one thing you don't want to do if you do use the food processor for this is you don't want to use your high or low button. You want to pulse them because you still want chunks of fruit in your jam. So make sure if you use the food processor that you don't over process your peaches. And I'm just going to put my peaches in. And I'm going to try not to overload this. And this should be good for the first one. And you're just going to pulse it. Helps if I put the processor on. You're just going to pulse it for a couple of seconds. Like I said, you don't want puree, but you do want to make sure that you have nice pieces of fruit. And I'm going to kind of show you what it's going to look like. It's going to look very similar to how we did the peach slices. So that is the trick. If you don't feel like using potato masher and chopping, especially if your peaches are overripe and you don't feel like coarsely chopping them or chopping them real fine, you can definitely use the food processor for this part. And that was the trick of the day for the jam. So I'm going to go finish making the peaches. I'll be back later for the blueberries. Okay, good evening all. It is going on 6 p.m. and I am still in the kitchen. If you're following my canning series, welcome. Cooking with Joel. I ran into a snafu. I had done the canned peach slices as well as I also canned more peach jam. But the one thing I didn't do when I went to sterilize the jar is I didn't toss out the old water out of the canner. And when I started to rinse some of the jars that had been sterilized, I noticed there was a tinge of yellow in them. So rather than using those jars, I'm starting the whole process over again. I put clean water in this. We're going to sterilize our jars and we're going to get ready to make the blueberry jam. Now, the blueberry jam is very similar to the peach jam, except this time we're using blueberries. You're going to need at least a 2-pound container of blueberries. And you're going to want to go through your blueberries very well, removing any stems, any bruised blueberries, or any unripened blueberries. You want to pull out of the mix, and you want to toss those out. And if you see smoke, I am having a cigarette because I've been working all day. So, to do that, what you're going to do is you're going to take a colander, dump your blueberries, and give them a good rinse. On a cookie sheet, line it with paper towels, dump out your blueberries, and you're going to want to take all of the water off of your blueberries. Once you've stemmed them, made sure that none of them are bruised or rotten or unripe, you're going to put them aside. Now, I do have a recipe, and I will link it down below, of how much blueberries to use. I'm going to double the recipe, and this time the recipe calls for 8 cups of sugar. You are going to need to use that much sugar for blueberries. Blueberries have higher acid, which when it reacts with the pectin, it will require more sugar. So we're going to use 8 cups of sugar in the blueberry recipe. Now, if you live with somebody that's diabetic, you can get the low or no sugar needed pectin, and you're going to follow the directions on the label. When you pull off the label, you're going to see the directions. I'm going to pull in close so you guys can see it. It has a table, and on the side, right where my thumb is, I'm moving my thumb right here, it has all of the fruits, and I'm going to try to get you guys to see that. Hopefully you guys can see that. For raspberry, blackberry, or blueberry, you're going to crush one layer at a time. Well, you're going to do the same thing you did with peaches. We're not going to do that. We're going to use the food processor. But for prepared fruits, you're going to need 2 cups for no sugar and 1.5 cups for low sugar. Now that's for every 2 8-ounce half pints of jams. So if you're going to do 8, you're going to need 4 cups of this pectin. If you're going to do low sugar, you're going to need 4.5 cups. And then you're going to need unsweetened juice, fruit juice concentrate, or water. And you're going to need, for every 2 cups, you're going to need, if you're not using sugar, you're going to need 1/3 of a cup. And you're going to keep doubling that till you get to 8 jars if you're going to can that much blueberry jelly or jam. Or, oh, they're both 1/3 cups. So you're going to have to, for 8, you're going to times 1/3 by 8. And I would do the mathematics. I'm not going to try to do that. That's what it does if you want a lower sugar. I'm going to use the original recipe of how it was written. And I'm going to leave the link down below of the wonderful sites that I've been using for these recipes. You're also going to need lemon juice. And you're going to need a tablespoon of butter to prevent bubbles or foam from forming. Now, it's the same process time as the peach jam. It's 10 minutes, or you cook it the same amount of time, and then it's 10 minutes to process in the canner once your jars are all sterilized. Now, since I didn't sterilize any of the jars, I also didn't sterilize any of the lids. And that's a really simple thing to do. These are already sterilized. All you have to do is put the lids in a pot of boiling water and boil them for 1 minute. And that sterilizes your lids. And then turn off and keep them in the water. They don't necessarily have to be covered, but you're going to keep them in the water until you're ready to use them or until they're needed. Make sure you dry off the lids before you put them on the jar, because you don't want to add water into your jam mixture. So, let's get started. Okay, good evening. Welcome to my kitchen. I'm back. It is going on 8 o'clock. It's actually 7:38. I'm going to whip up the blueberry jam really fast. It should not take more than 20-25 minutes for it to cook. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move my canner over to a smaller burner, and I'm going to turn this one off for a bit. Now my canner has been actually boiling this entire time, and it's still boiling, so that's fine. So let's get into this recipe. Now how many blueberries you do is up to you. This recipe calls for 8 cups of blueberries. So basically what I did is I bought 2 pints and 1 quart of blueberries. So I've got my 2 pints and my 2-pound quart blueberries. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to, like I said, you're going to want to wash these really well. Using a colander, and unfortunately my husband loaded the toy colander that I usually use. And this is going to be much, much simpler than using the peach because you don't need to pit anything. You do need to, however, you do need to take the stems off. Now these are a mixture of California blueberries and Michigan blueberries. Where you get blueberries, that's up to you. Michigan is known for blueberries in the summertime. California grows them year-round. So you just want to make sure that none of them have stems on them and that they're all nice and cleaned and rinsed. And any ones that look like they're not ripe, and I'm going to kind of show you this one. This one is blue, but it's not quite ripe, and I don't know if you guys will be able to see that or not. I'm going to try to show you the back side. I'm just going to go ahead and eat that because I do like blueberries. And you just want to go through, and any blueberry that has a stem on it, and I don't know if you guys will see this. I'm going to try to go in. Oh, okay. See that little stem, and I'm going to kind of point to it behind it with my fingertip. And I'll see, maybe you can see it now. You see that little stem? You want to remove any stems that the blueberries have. You don't want that in your jam. And then you're just going to basically look over the rest of your berries, and you're going to make sure that none of them have stems and there are no shriveled up blueberries. Like that one actually is. And the ones that are not blue, and I'm going to kind of bring you in close on my hand. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that. Those blueberries are not ripe. You want to throw those away also. And you just very slowly want to go through all of your blueberries, making sure that there are no stems in it. And this looks pretty good. Yeah, this looks pretty good. Edward, I'm trying to do something. I can't be with you right now. Okay, and then I'm just gonna take my other quart. And if you do this slow enough, you should be able to grab all of the stems before they even hit the rest of the blueberries. And like I said, you just kind of want to go over the blueberries. And I'm doing a little bit at a time. I'm doing a handful at a time, and I've got them in the sieve. And I'm going to put you guys down so you can see this process. Now, can you make a blueberry jelly? You certainly can, but it's a little bit different, and we're not doing that today. If you want to make a blueberry jelly instead of a jam, what you're going to do is you're actually going to cook the fruit, and then you're going to squeeze all of the liquid out of the fruit. You're going to cook it it down. I'm just looking these over, and a lot of these have already been stemmed, thank goodness. Although I see a couple in here. This one, actually. And a lot of the store-bought ones that you buy at the supermarket that are already in pints, usually 9 out of 10 times, most of the stems will be off of the blueberries. It's more you need to worry about if you pick yourself, or you go to a farm stand where they have fresh blueberries. Those are the ones that you need to look out for. Those are the ones that usually have more stems than what you get at the grocery store. But not in all cases. So I digress just a little bit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our other blueberries. Open them if I can figure out how to open the... there we go. And the reason I'm doing the blueberry jam is the blueberries were actually on a pretty good sale here in Illinois. This is about the time that they usually go on sale. I was hoping actually that they would have raspberries versus blueberries, because I'm not a humongous blueberry fan. I like them once in a while, but I'm not a big blueberry jam person. But there are other things that you can do with blueberries. You can do the same exact thing and make a blueberry cake. You can also use these as an ice cream topping. Okay, and this big Michigan box does have a lot more stems in it, so I'm kind of going slow. Edward, stop. Edward, stop. Okay, I'm going slowly through. And any blueberries that are rotten, like, I'm going to show you, that one is the rotten one. Put that one aside. Edward. Sorry, that's my little chihuahua that's just on a barking spree. He's barking at my big dog. Edward. Edward, hush it. Edward, enough. Okay, so I'm going to go through the rest of the blueberries. I'll pick this back up with the next step.